Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, excellent. How are you doing, Dr. Again? All good?
Thanks a lot.
No,
How about you?
excellent. I'm doing well, thanks. Well, welcome to today's session. Let's just try to share your presentation, please. So we are
Yes.
sure that everything's working, and then I will be letting the students in.
Okay.
on
Hang
the
on a
waiting
sec.
room. Sure.
You see this screen?
Yes, macro challenges after COVID crisis.
Yes,
Okay,
exactly.
perfect. All good then. Let me just let the students in. More most likely will be joining throughout the session, and
Okay.
then we shall proceed. Excellent. Okay, perfect. Seems that we're all in at the moment. So, well, welcome everyone to today's live class. We have Dr. Abdulkadir Dogan with us today, and he will be covering the topic of macro challenges after the COVID crisis. So it's going to be a very interesting topic to cover. And just let me remind you that as usual, in case you want to participate or you have a question throughout the presentation, just please raise your hand through the Zoom application, and then you'll be given the right to speak. So without further ado, Dr. Again, floor is yours. Go ahead.
Thanks a lot. Welcome, everybody. Maybe you know the issues after the COVID crisis. We have lots of macro challenges. We faced this type of issue during 2008 crisis in global financial market, which is started in United States subprime mortgage market, then spread to the rest of the world. Then, after approximately 12 years, we didn't face such a challenge in the global market, and everything seems good in central banks' monetary and fiscal policy side. But with the COVID shock, we have an unprecedented supply side issue, also demand side shock, but the main problem from the coming supply side shock. And it is even worse than the 1929, the global Great Depression. It is like that because we have lots of crises during approximately 100 years. It is oil crisis shock in 1970s in the United States, and the Gulf crisis in 1990s, and the 2008 global financial market crisis. But the COVID is an unprecedented, even worse than the Great Depression in 1930s. For that reason, I want to cover those macroeconomic.
Oh, yes, well, it seems that our presenter lost connection. He'll most likely be joining us again shortly. So please bear with us for a couple of minutes while he connects back. Okay, thank you. There we
Actually,
go.
because of the internet connection, there was a problem,
Yes,
but suddenly dropped. Right now,
it's all
yeah, yeah, yeah.
solved. Excellent.
So,
Very well. Go ahead.
as I said, to understand what's happening in domestic economies and global financial market, we should understand what happened in 2020 COVID crisis and what was the reason, how it affects the financial and real market, what was the problem, and how the governments and central banks solve these issues all around the world, and what type of measures taken to solve and to take measures, those type of issues. Let me start with central bank policy rate. This is the basic and this is the fundamental topics, because if we have any type of shocks in the financial or real market, generally the basic principle start with the central bank monetary policy measures, which is about the interest rate, the policy rate. Maybe you know, the central banks is the highest authority who is printing the money and giving the liquidity to the market. It decides the basic interest rate, then the investment banking, deposit banking, loan banking adjust their interest rate according to their liquidity from the central bank. So the policy rate is the reference rate for all the financial market policymakers. For that reason, as you see on the left-hand side, the central bank K policy rate. You can see here Australia, United States, Eurozone, all these developed market, UK and Japan, they are, you should understand this topic. What was the reason behind the rate hike and rate cut for the central bank? Why the central bank increase the interest rate or decrease? What is the main problem behind that? As you see here on the left-hand side, in 2011, we have, let's say, Australia is around 4.25% of policy rate, or the United States around 0.5. So except the Australia, all developed markets interest rate around 1%. This means that market is stable, inflation outlook and inflation expectation is stable, everything is going good in the market. Then, with the 2016, maybe because of the increase in the inflation, the heating in the domestic economies, the central banks, especially the United States, from the 0.75 start to increase the interest rate approximately 2.5. What does this mean? And why the United States increased the interest rate? Because if you enter...
Doctor, again, sorry to interrupt you. If you're showing us any slides, the presentation froze up at the first slide. Are you showing up any? Yes. Right now, the only thing that, yeah, we're still in the first slide. Okay, excellent.
Yeah, we are in the first slide, exactly.
Good.
As I said, why the United States increased the interest rate? What is the basic principle behind the central bank to increase the interest rate? What is the main point? When you enter the central bank internet page, their web page, you will see on the top this sentence. The main objective of the central bank is maintain the price stability. What does this mean when we say about the price stability? What does it mean? This means that any change in inflation forecast and inflation expectation should be in the band of the United States Central Bank. So if an investor make a position in financial market, let's say stock exchange, if they get nominal 10% return at the end of the year, and if the inflation is approximately 8%, this means that my nominal return in the financial market is 10%, but the prices is going up because of the inflation 8%. My real return is 10 minus 8 is around 2%. So for the investors, not the nominal return, but the real return is important. So if the inflation expectation is going up, the central bank should intervene in the market to maintain the price stability. So the inflation expectation should be smooth, not like that. The slope of the inflation expectation should be smooth, like a vertical line. So the United States, see here in the 2017 and 8, there's a heating in the market. Inflation expectation is increasing. So to decrease the inflation expectation, they started to increase the interest rate. So you should understand how the interest rate decrease the inflation rate. This is the monetary policy transmission mechanism, the monetary policy transmission mechanism. The central bank take a position by increasing the interest rate and by decreasing the inflation rate. So how the increase in interest rate decrease the inflation? This is the main question. There is 4 monetary policy transmission mechanism challenges. One is the expectation channel. Second is the asset price channel. The third is a fixed market channel. And the fourth is consumption demand side channel. So from these 4 channels, with the increase in the interest rate, the central bank started to decrease the inflation in the market. So let's say how we can achieve this. If I have $100, okay, if the price of everything is just $1, I can buy everything with $1. Then the seller of these goods saying me that the price is cheaper. Let's make, because the Dr. Dogan can buy everything. And let's say, like Dr. Dogan, we have lots of buyers in the market. They want to buy. So the sellers should decide how much money they can pay at the top. So they are saying first, let's say 100 buyers in the market like Dogan, and the price is $1. Then they say that, let's say the new prices is $2. And from 100 buyers, now we have just 20 buyers because the 80 buyers just want to buy those goods and services with $1. So if the increase in the price is happening, if I increase the interest rate, let's say the interest rate, lots of buyers, let's say the iPhone buyers, okay, you are getting the Apple from the iPhone, from Apple to iPhone, and lots of buyers getting loans from the banks, and they are ready to pay the interest rate for the banks according to, let's say, $100,000, and they are buying MacBook Pro, iPhone, and those type of Apple products to their shops. And if the bank say that the interest rate, because the central bank increased the interest rate, if the bank say that I'm increasing my interest rate as well because I'm buying the money from the central bank and this is the higher cost, now the buyer of the Apple product say that if I buy this product, their return interest rate, I will pay more. So let's buy less. Okay, because of the increase in the interest rate, nobody will buy the loans from the banks. So if you don't buy the loans from the banks, you will don't have enough money and you will don't create the need demand in the market. If you don't create the demand will decrease and the price will decrease. This is basic demand and supply condition in the market. If you decrease your demand for any goods and services in the market, the decrease in demand will decrease the prices. So increase in the interest rate will decrease the loan, will decrease the demand, and will decrease the inflation. Okay, this is the basic issue. So this is until 2020 crisis. And what's happening here? What is happening here? Directly drop to zero lower bound to all interest rates, all around the world, not just the United States or United Kingdom, even Australia, Japan, or Eurozone, all decrease their interest rate to zero lower bound. What does this mean? When the COVID crisis shock started in the market, they directly said that nobody will go out from even their home. Nobody can join to the market. Nobody go to the shopping. Nobody go to the mall. They are all in their houses. The restriction, curtain in the market. So there is no demand. And this will be a good indicator and signature of the recession in the market. What's happening here? Let me say this. When we start the monetary policy transmission mechanism that I said with asset price, FX market, expectation, and consumer demand side, the prices will be affected from the monetary policy transmission mechanism with the interest rate and inflation rate. The interest rate affected the inflation with the monetary policy transmission mechanism. If the people don't go out, and if I am the shop owner, with who I will sell this product? Nobody, because nobody will buy this product with the higher prices. So the prices and demand should increase in the market, the reverse of the inflation, because inflation is decreasing. lots of people all around the world supposing that increase in inflation is bad, but decrease, even minus inflation, is good. But this is not. When I say the objective of the price stability, I'm saying that it should be stable. It should be not less than even zero. When the inflation go to the 10%, the consumer will worse off, but inflation will be minus 10%. Now the producer will worse off because they will produce product, but they will sell those products with less prices. So the government and the central bank should save their consumer surplus and producer surplus at the same time. There should be Pareto efficient allocation between those consumer and producer. For that reason, increasing interest rate and decreasing inflation is good, but until one point. If you decrease more, then the producer will be worse off. The producer will lose their money, will lose their investment. So until the zero lower bound, the interest rate decreased during the COVID crisis. When the interest rate decreases at zero lower bound, we will see the next slides, the central bank balance sheet. When you see the next slide, you will understand that central banks saying to the all market participants, banks, financial institutions, even the government securities, they are saying that I will buy trillion and trillion, billion and billion dollars from the market. I will give as a central bank because I'm the lender of last resort. I'm giving the money to the central bank. Then I will give the liquidity. You will give the government securities. You will have cheaper liquidity with zero cost. Look at these graphs. This graph saying that I'm in the lower bound. Okay, with the lower bound of the interest rate, I will give the cheaper money. You can spend and consume those cheaper money, and you can create the demand. And look at the right-hand side now. Okay, what happened here during 3 years? Look at this. When the COVID crisis started, we are here, and during 3 years, central bank give amount of billion and trillion dollars to the market with the cheaper prices. Then when we get this money, we will create demand and the inflation will reach before the COVID level. Now, with the threshold value, now the inflation here, look at this one. Look at this one. Inflation. When the inflation is here, when I decrease the interest rate, inflation is going up. Look at the inflation cycle. This inflation cycle has an upward trend because we decrease the interest rate. What I said, if I decrease the interest rate, inflation will go up. If I increase the interest rate, inflation will go down. This is the basic this is the basic business cycle with the inflation and interest rate. For that reason, during the 3 years, the inflation will really increase. Then the central banks say that the consumer will worse off. Now I should start to increase the interest rate here. Okay, from the zero lower bound, approximately to 5%. Now look at this right-hand side. The market expectation for the central bank policy rate. What does this mean? This means directly how much and how many interest rate hike or interest rate cut will happen in the next period for the central bank projection. Look at the United States, the black line. It is saying that during the 2023, the policy rate will be around 5% for the United States, but it will, in the COVID crisis, it will be around 0%, 5 times higher. For, let's say, look at this blue line. Look at the blue line. This is for the Australia. The Australia has only 0.5% interest rate, and now it is 3%. The increase in the interest rate will start to decrease this increasing inflation because this is not sustainable. The increase in the inflation will be really worse of the consumer side in the market. Let's look at the next slide. This is the central bank policy rate changes. What we mean by saying that central bank policy rate changes, this is rate hike, meaning interest rate increase, and this is the rate cut. And this is the developed market, and the blue and light blue was the developing market. And this graph showing that during the COVID crisis, as you see, we have all around the world the interest rate high. And still, everybody, when you open the television, we are listening to Fed Powell and Federal Open Market Committee meeting, and what they will say for the rate hike and rate cut process for the next couple of months, because they will affect all investors, they will affect all consumer, they will affect all market participants. And look at the right hand side. Now, this is for the expected rate for the second quarter of 2023. Okay, the dark point, dark blue point. What does this mean? Even Japan, Thailand, Malaysia, China, Eurozone, Korea, Australia, United Kingdom, New Zealand, US, Indonesia, Philippines, and India. This is the mixture of the developed and developing market. And as you see, the dark blue point is the highest all among those. What does this mean? Still in the market, the interest rate hike proceeding. What does this mean? Because we have huge inflation in the market, the interest rate hike process will continue in the next couple of months until the end of 2023. When the inflation starts to decrease and when the central banks understand that this level of interest rate is enough to decrease the inflation, they will stop there. But if the inflation phenomena and inflation inertia is still going up, they will continue to increase the interest rate to deal with this inflation issue. And look at this one. This is the best well-known graph all around the world, and this is about directly the United States Federal Reserve balance sheet. What does this mean? If you have a central bank in your country, and if you have a problem in the market, the central bank will say that there will be a problem, liquidity problem in the market. I will give the cheaper money to the market, but I will give the money. What will I get back? I will give the money, and government and banks will their securities to me. And this securities is here in the balance sheet. This is the assets of the Federal Reserve of the United States. And it is just around, before the COVID crisis, $4 trillion. And now it is $9 trillion. What does this mean? During COVID crisis, the United States Federal Reserve buy the government securities and bank credits from the market approximately $5 trillion. $5 trillion. Give me 1 second. Hang on a sec. I'm back again. As you see, this is left-hand side, the United States Central Bank balance sheet. This is the light blue one, the mortgage-backed securities, the black one, other. The dark blue one is the treasury, and the open one is the liquidity in the market. And the right-hand side, let's look at the central bank balance sheet all around the world. United States, United Kingdom, Eurozone. And look at this, what is happening here. And just look at this point. What is this point? This point is 2020, when the COVID crisis started in the market. And what is happening here, as you see, the central bank balance sheet all around the world, approximately greater than 50% of their gross domestic product, nominal GDP. It is huge. It is huge. Small countries, let's say like the Eastern Europe or the Middle East, just have 100 billion gross domestic product. But even just the United States buy from the government and the market approximately 5 trillion government securities. This is a huge money. And this is the cheapest money in the market. You can't find any money cheaper than the United States or any central bank's liquidity in the market. For that reason, this increase in the balance sheet, meaning that we have huge liquidity in the market, we have cheaper money, we can create demand, the interest rate decreasing and the inflation increasing until one point when the inflation reached the top and then started to back again its nominal average level for 20 years. And look at this, the global macro indicators during the COVID-19 crisis. What is it? The United States gross domestic product and inflation, GDP. And look at this graph. As you see, the United States real GDP average for approximately 50 years. 50 years, real GDP average is 2.7%. What does this mean? On average, quarter or quarter, the United States produce more with their gross domestic product, 2.7%. And the last observation for the end of the 2023 to 2022 is 0.9. It is less than average. But what is the problem in this graph? In this graph, we have these problems. This, small, this, and this, huge. What happened here? We have here the oil crisis shock in the market. So, because of the oil crisis, supply side shock crisis, the gross domestic product will shrink and the government and the market enter into recession because GDP is decreasing. Recession means GDP will realize as minus, decrease below the zero in the consecutive 2 quarters. Okay, consecutive 2 quarters, the shrink in GDP means that recession. And here we have the crisis between Iran and the United States. We have here Gulf crisis between Iraq, Kuwait, and the United States. We have here 2008 financial crisis, and here approximately 2 times higher recession than all of them. This is the COVID crisis. During the COVID crisis, United States GDP shrink approximately 8%. This is huge. For the economy, approximately $1 trillion burnout, melt, and evaporate. You can't see those money in the market again. Melt. And inflation, as you see. If we have a problem in the market, if we have the demand side problem, you should understand this demand side and supply side issue as well, because it is hugely important for the policymaker and the government and central bank. If we have demand side issue in the inflation and in the market, the central bank will decrease interest rate, as you see in the 2008 crisis. But why the inflation? Look at this graph. This graph is really important. The inflation is here minus, as you see, minus 1.5%. This is the 2008 financial crisis when the Lehman Brothers collapsed. Okay, it will go to bankruptcy. But why the inflation does not go to the below 0 point or does not realize any minus inflation in the market? We have another crisis. But why the inflation is minus here but not? Because the 2008 crisis is a financial market and demand side crisis, but the COVID crisis is directly supply side. Okay, demand side is just 2% or 5% of the COVID crisis. We have directly supply side shock. And what happened here? Additional to the COVID crisis, we have political crisis between Russia and Ukraine. And because of the oil prices hugely increase in the market, approximately the oil barrel, the Brent petrol increase approximately $140 per barrel. This means that we have huge supply side shock. Even nobody buys the oil in the market. The increase in the market coming from the political side, supply side, not the demand side. Normally, the prices is going up because we increase the demand. But in the COVID, there is no demand, but the inflation increasing because we have supply side shock. The supply chain throughout the world market broke out. Okay. The California Shanghai vessel, normal times, reached to Shanghai to California in 20 days. But during COVID, it is 2 months. So there is no product, there is no services in the market, and prices is going up. This is supply side shock, not the demand. Okay. we should differentiate demand and supply side shock in the market. This is the United States inflation. As you see, during the COVID crisis, we will give huge money into the market. With the cheaper money and with the lower interest rate, the inflation started to increase. Then the United States stopped the asset buying program. This is the quantitative easing. What we mean by the quantitative easing? Quantitative easing, buying the assets from the market and giving the cheaper liquidity to banking system, financial system. So until this point, we have quantitative easing. And this point is the quantitative tapering. What does this mean? I am buying back my money and giving the securities to the market again. This is quantitative tapering, the reverse of the quantitative easing. Quantitative easing, giving money to the market. Quantitative tapering is taking money from the market. When I take the money, nobody will have money to buy something, and the prices will go down. As you see here, the inflation is going down. Okay, this is the inflation effect expectation, and it reached approximately 7%. And for the next couple of months, it will converge to 3%. And the Fed target is 2% on the average of 20 years. So when the 2% target will achieve, the central bank stop quantitative easing and quantitative tapering period. Okay, and here I should emphasize one point. We should make a clarification about this point, because this point is really important in one side. It is the side of this. The inflation components generally, as you see here from the bottom, core goods, food, energy, services, and something like that. When we have a supply or demand side shock, we can decrease, let's say, shelter, services X shelter, or core goods prices. This is easy, but we can't easily decrease the services inflation in the market. Why? Let's say the 1 kilogram of banana in the market, this is food. Okay, this is the food. 1 kilogram of banana in the market, let's say $10. If I don't give any money to the people in the market, nobody can buy this banana in the market with $10. So the banana prices will go down. Food prices, food inflation will go down, because there is no enough money. I'm not giving. I'm the central bank. I'm printing the money. I'm not giving the money. Nobody buy the banana, and banana prices will go down. But services prices, they're a little bit different. Because of the inflation, all central banks, all governments, all companies, firms, everybody demand, the employees demand increase in their wage. Why? Because there is inflation in the market. The rent prices increasing, oil prices increasing, car prices increasing, and the employees saying that I can't afford these type of products and services that I afford before the COVID crisis. So as an employer, you should increase my wage to sustain my subsistence level. So the increase in wage, this is the services inflation, does not go easily like the food inflation, because nobody can wage. Your wage can be constant or increased, but your wage can't be cut easily. For that reason, as you see in this black side, this services columns, the services columns will be the inflation inertia, will be a little bit stubborn to decrease. As you see, look at this one, these energy prices. This is this column, but now at this amount, so small. As you see, the core goods here, huge, but now it is small. So inflation gone up from energy, from core goods, but it is coming from the services sector because of the wage inflation in the market. Okay, we should understand this issue. Inflation inertia is a little bit higher in the services sector rather than core goods or energy side. These are easily go up and go down, but the services sector is not. As you see, we have here the United States labor market. Why this is important? Why the people all around the world follow the United States, the labor market? what is the importance behind it? The United States, while it is starting their quantitative easing period, they are saying directly this sentence: I will decrease my interest rate until the unemployment rate will decrease the 4%, unless the inflation will go above the 5%. Because inflation and unemployment, because of the Phillips curve and Oaken-Law shape, these are the correlation between the inflation and unemployment. These are negatively correlated. For that reason, if you're trying to decrease the unemployment, the inflation will go up. But Fed have two targets: the unemployment and the inflation. Unemployment will be around 4% and inflation will be around 2%. While decreasing my unemployment to 4%, the inflation is going up, and Fed saying a threshold value: I will try to decrease the unemployment to the till 4% unless the inflation will go above the 4%. Okay, so as you see, this unemployment rate in the United States during the COVID crisis reached 16%. This is a disaster and catastrophe for the United States labor market. But after the quantitative easing period, after the Fed balance sheet, after the interest rate decrease, after they create the enough demand in the market, now the unemployment is around 4%, which is the target of the Federal Reserve. Okay, this policy issue is so important. Inflation and unemployment, the main target of the United States. This is the housing market. This is also important because the interest rate directly correlated, mortgage market directly correlated with the interest rate. If you increase the interest rate, nobody gets the mortgage loan from the market and the prices of the house will go down. If you increase the interest rate, nobody will buy the loan and the price of the houses will decrease. But during the COVID crisis, the reverse happened. We decrease the interest rate, the house prices will go up, as you see here. And housing affordability index, as you see here, because we started to increase the interest rate, nobody will buy the new houses because the increase in the interest rate make the housing prices, because house prices increase, but now the increase in interest rate will decrease house price gradually, but not in just 1 month or 2 months, in the next couple of years. As you see, this is the Eurozone GDP and inflation. Eurozone market from approximately for the 15 years, as you see, just have a negative real gross domestic product, minus it is 2008 global financial crisis and COVID crisis, as you see. Okay, this is the contribution of the real GDP growth. These are domestic demand, real GDP, and this is just minus. Here, just a small minus. This is because of the Spain and Greece issue. We have a global crisis because of the Greece fiscal policy side. All the European Union countries support the Greece, and during 2012 we had an issue with the negative prices. For that reason, we should directly see that here. The 2 minus gross domestic product happened in 2008 financial crisis and COVID crisis. And here the inflation rate. As you see, the inflation rate, even in the Eurozone, the Eurozone interest rate, the Eurozone inflation is more stubborn, the real gross domestic product. Why this is important? This is important because of this issue. When I'm increasing the interest rate, the inflation will go down. But even the Eurozone, look at this graph. Please look at this graph. Even the Eurozone, as you see the black line, decrease their interest rate. And because of the decrease in the interest rate, the Eurozone inflation will go up. And they are now also in the quantitative tapering process. What does this mean? They are increasing interest rate to deal with this high inflation. And this is the Eurozone growth indicators, Eurozone growth activity, industrial production and export, as you see during 2008 and COVID crisis. These are really directly in a recession. Industrial production, export, and Purchasing Manager Index. As you see, retail sales, because the Eurozone is a production economy, their retail sales and consumer confidence will drop down during the financial crisis and COVID crisis, as you see in these graphs. You can see here the Japanese market as well. Japanese market indicators showing us that the Japan GDP inflation, this one, GDP and inflation. As you see, Japan GDP average is 0.5 for the 20 years. This is really low. But during the financial crisis and during the COVID crisis, they're shrinking even 10%. And just think how big the Japanese economy, and 10% decrease in gross domestic product is like a whole economy like Turkey or Kenya or South Africa. This 10% decrease the whole economy of these countries. Okay, the inflation as well here in 2008 crisis shrink down, during the COVID crisis shrink down, and because of the decrease in the interest rate, the inflation again in Japan also increasing up. I wanna show the Chinese market as well. This is the Chinese market. You should know something about the China. Even what is happening in the market, China is the motorcycle on growth of the global economies. While the global economies increasing their GDP just 1 or 2%, the average GDP growth, as you see here for the China, is around 7%. Even we have the crisis, even we have the COVID crisis, we have a positive growth in China. China is something else. China is not from this world. China coming from space. Okay, China is something else, trust me. China is not United States. China is not United States or Eurozone or United Kingdom. Even they have a crisis, they can create a positive growth and gross domestic product. Their inflation as well. Their inflation does not shrinking like other developed economies. Their economy is really, really good and will be the top in the next couple of years. Here we have China cyclical indicators, as you see from top, state-owned enterprise and private. Because the Communist Party, they have huge government support for the financial and real market, and because of those issues, they are less affected from any type of demand and supply side shock. Okay. And here we have, as you see, the consumer confidence decrease, but not less than 50. 50 is the threshold value for the consumer confidence level. For that reason, we can directly say that the Chinese economy, even in the COVID crisis, even in the global financial crisis, doing well. And financial dynamics we have here, China financial dynamics. As you see, this is the RMB index, the Chinese yuan index, we can say that. And here the K policy rate on the right-hand side. As you see, they also decreased during the COVID crisis. You see the policy rate for the interbank repo, medium-term lending facility, loan prime rate for 5 years, all is decreasing, but even not less than 2%. Why? Because all developed economies decrease their interest rate to zero lower bound, but China is not doing. Because China creating the positive growth, even the financial conditions shrink down. Okay, so you should understand this phenomena here. Developed, if I cover those topics as a whole, you should understand that during the COVID crisis, we have demand and supply side shock at the same time. Okay, the demand and supply side shock at the same time. And because the supply side shock is huge, even the central bank decrease the interest rates, they can't easily control the inflation because they are increasing the interest rate to decrease the inflation, but because of the supply side shock, wars, Ukraine, Russia, supply chain brokerage from China, production economies to the Western world, all these affect the inflation rate, and even the increase in the interest rate does not decrease the inflation with enough issue. Okay, you should understand this topic from the top to bottom. The central bank started the quantitative easing period. They started to asset-backed securities, market-backed securities from the market. They are buying those, giving the liquidity until the increase in the interest, until the increase in the inflation. reached the sustainable level, then after that point, they started the tapering period with the reverse of the quantitative easing. So this is my end of topic to cover those issues. What's happening in United States, Eurozone, Japan, and China during the COVID crisis, and what was the reason behind those topics, why they decreased the interest rate, and until one point, why they started to increase their interest rate. Okay, this is the global challenge. And today, now, if we speak about the contemporary challenges about the global market, the main issue is inflation. Okay, even the increase in the interest rate couldn't decrease the inflation because of the supply side issue. Hang on a second. As I said, the main problem here, we have the inflation problem. Even the central banks increase their interest rate because the shocks coming from the supply side, not the demand side. We couldn't easily decrease those inflation, especially from the services sector, as you see from the graph here. The services sector inflation, the contribution coming from the services sector, the inflation in core goods, inflation in energy, inflation in food decreasing, but the inflation in services sector does not decreasing because of the wage growth rate. Okay, we have need some increase in our wage to compensate the inflationary effect, and they are not decreasing easily. So this is my end of the slide. I can take any question. You can take the microphone, or you can write the chat side for your any question. I can answer those questions as well.
Okay, excellent. Thank you very much for the presentation today, Dr. Dogan. Please, if anyone has any questions related to the topic, please, this is the time to raise your hand and ask Dr. Dogan any inquiries you might have, either the topic or something related to it. So you see that how it affects perhaps either your specific country, or if you want to have a quick overview of the important pointers of today's presentation. Well, it seems that everyone understood everything perfectly, Dr. Dogan. But for example, what should be perhaps interesting to discuss, no, is the aftermath. No, we know that COVID had a great effect on pretty much economies worldwide. But do you think that, for example, in countries like the United States, they are taking the right measures at this point in time to actually counter what really happened, and to see that everything goes well in the following years?
Exactly. Just look at this one. You will understand your answer from this graph. Look at this graph, please. Here, with the decrease in the interest rate, inflation will peak up around 7%. And the main issue to deal with the inflation. So the central banks started to increase the interest rate, and we are here around 5%, but the projection for the next couple of years is around 3%, like before the COVID crisis. So the orthodox policy will just offer us to increase the interest rate, decrease the demand, stop the liquidity in the market. Nobody can create any additional demand. Prices will go down, and we will achieve the price stability and inflation stability in the market.
Okay, that's excellent. Perhaps one of our participants would like to pose a question to Dr. Dogan.
I'm here. If you
Yeah,
have any question, any specific question, it shouldn't be about the topics, the COVID crisis or macro challenges after the COVID or before COVID crisis. You can even ask any question from the financial market, real market, whatever you choose.
sure. We might have Neri. Perhaps he would like to participate. Neri, please go ahead. Neri Junior Camina. No, no questions. Was just clapping because he liked the presentation. So that's good.
Yeah,
Well,
no question.
okay.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. I just clap for the presentation because it's a
Yes.
nice.
Well,
Thank you.
well, glad you liked it, Neri.
Thank you
Excellent.
so much.
Well, Dr. Dogan, we have Dr. Lambert here with us. So if you're done with the topic, then you might as well take a leave. We'll thank you for being with us today, Dr. Dogan. Hopefully, we'll have you in a future session to keep discussing matters further. And if then anyone has any questions for Dr. Lambert, either with regarding uh, the exam that he just posted in the chat, or any other questions related to academics, well, he's here with us, so you can share with that. Doctor, again, thank you for being with us today.
Salat, thanks for your contribution and thanks for joining the presentation as well. Thanks a lot. See you in the next couple of days about another topics.
Certainly. Thank you.
See you. Bye-bye.
Yes, this is Dr. Lambert, and Academic Director of AIU. So I am here to answer any of your questions to help you with your courses. Excuse me. Does anybody have any questions? Courses that you're working on, study materials, what types of assignments you can do? Any questions? Any problems that you're having with some assignments? Which courses you should take? Are you clear on all of these things? Are you working on an assignment right now? You can raise your hand. Are you studying a course? Do you know how to get more credits from these live classes? You can write questions into chat. You can raise your hand. Okay. I think I do not see any questions. A couple of the students I see here have already graduated, so they already know all of this. They come back to keep learning.
Yes. But we do have Ismail. He has a question, though. Ismail, please go
Oh.
ahead. Yes.
There we go.
Go ahead, Ismail. We cannot hear you. Yep, you have to unmute. There you go.
You're getting me?
Yes. Loud and clear.
Yes. Good evening, Dr. Lambert.
Good evening. How
How
are
are
you
we?
today? How are you today, Ismail?
I'm good. Just that I joined a bit late. I was a bit busy at work, and I really missed a lot from the session. My question is: there's like 2 weeks, like was it last week? We had a session concerning about the healthy diet. So on that, okay, after attending that health diet, there's something where you go extra mile to do more research and then you get credits. I attended and I answered all the questions, but I wasn't I wasn't marked, so I don't know how far. I wasn't graded. When I submitted, I wasn't graded about the health diet.
I am going to check. Let me see if I can find you. Oop.
Yeah.
I'm going to find you and see what happened to that assignment. So you're saying you submitted the assignment
Yes,
for the
please.
course,
I did. Yeah.
but then you didn't get credits for it. So let me see
Yes,
what
please.
happened. Okay, why am I not finding you in the system? Probably because I'm putting it. Your last name is your first name. There we go.
Yeah.
Let's see. So it was for the healthy diet.
Yes.
I'm showing it is appearing twice. One of it's saying it's graded, one of it's saying is not graded. So let me check this. Oh, yes. So you haven't been fully graded in this. This is interesting because I'm still learning about how these grades. Yep. So
Yeah, because usually when I'm graded, I usually have a message that I was graded. So I didn't receive that message that I was graded.
I'm going to check. It is graded up to 0.25 credits, but I'm going to see if it's on your transcript. It is on your transcript, but you don't have, but you actually did extra work to get 0.5 credits. And that's what's not showing up. So let me look at this. I'm looking at your answers. Very good. Excellent. And you did some research on that. I can see some of your bibliography. Excellent. So now,
Yes, please.
I can go ahead and actually give you credit for this and go back and double check to make sure it is on your transcript. Let me check. Okay, it should have gone up to 0.5 credits, but it did not on your transcript. So that means I got to go back into here and find out. It says it's graded now. And I'm going to have to change this manually. This is something I've not seen before, that I have to change the credits manually. But I'm going to do it and double check. Now let's go back and make sure that it's correct on the transcript. Now it's correct on the transcript. Okay, interesting. I had not seen that happen before. So yeah, you've got your extra credits now.
Okay, thank you. Then another thing, in yesterday's live discussion, it was about the disaster management. I attended a little bit late. Is it okay to share to me that link so that I can go through what they discussed about yesterday? Disaster management?
Now, what I know is that you have to wait a couple of days and then the presentation will be uploaded online.
Okay.
Let me go ahead and see if that. So let's see, you got the COVID yesterday, disaster management.
Yeah.
So they haven't posted the video yet. The presentation file is available. Let me see. Yes, the presentation file is available.
It's available.
So yeah, if you go into your student section and you
Yeah.
go under AIU Live Classroom, you'll see it as a on the right side where it says AIU Past Live Classes. You'll see the
Okay.
disaster risk management for July 11th at 7/11.
Okay, please.
If you click on it, you'll see presentation file. You can open it or download it.
Okay, please. Thank you so much, Dr. Lambert.
And just so that you have it, I actually downloaded it. So I can
Yeah,
put
you
it
can
in,
share
I can put it into chat here.
in the chat. Yeah, thank you so
Yeah.
much.
So I just put that PowerPoint into chat here.
Yeah, I've received it.
So so when you need a presentation for one of the live classes,
Yes, sir.
you open it up. If it's a past live class, you open it up and you should see a link to download the presentation.
Okay, please. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
You're
Great
welcome.
questions. Because we're still kind of, we're making changes and improving it. So as we're doing this, I'm also having to learn on a day-to-day basis how to do these things.
We really appreciate, I appreciate your service. I appreciate everything. I've learned a lot from AIU. I really appreciate in Uganda. I'm very grateful to study from AIU University.
Yeah, we're doing classes on economics, on nutrition, on agriculture.
Yeah.
So many topics. And disaster management is at the point now where that's a really important topic because there seems to be fires and floods all over the world.
Exactly. So that's why I needed it to go through, and I also do it, that assignment.
Okay.
Okay, please.
If you don't have any more questions, I don't think anybody else has any more questions.
For now, no.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Do you need an assignment template? I posted one into chat.
Yeah, you can share still.
Okay, let me put that back up. Okay, the assignment template in chat. And I'll also put up the how to use ChatGPT. That's really good. Let me see if there's another good one. Actually, another good guide to always have is how to add new courses. Because you're always free to add new courses if you find something really interesting. And you say, oh, I want to add that course to my curriculum. That'll show you how to add it. Then you do your assignment and submit it. Okay, let's go to Gertrude. Gertrude.
Hello, Doc.
Hello.
Yes, my issue concerns the ChatGPT.
Yes.
There is when we go to the portal, there's somewhere where we are seeing, is it, I don't know whether it's DOE or DALE/E.
Yes.
That I don't know what we can call it. It has been added there.
Yes.
But how do we, Doc?
From what I understand, that one is for images. If you need to create artwork or other types of images, but go into it and explore it.
Okay.
I've only been using ChatGPT mostly. Okay, everybody, I think if that's it.
Then what else did I? Yeah, then the other thing that I wanted to follow up was concerning, I've been following this live classes, but I've never seen or I've never heard anyone come to talk about mathematics, Doc. Is there a problem there?
That you need a live class on mathematics?
Definitely, Doc. Mathematics, at times you cannot just do it alone. Like there was a concern from another student.
I'll put in
Yeah,
I'll put in a request.
yes.
We had a request the other day for educational administration live classes. So I'll put in a request for mathematics.
Yeah, yes, Doc. Actually, I will appreciate if that is done. Thank you.
Is there a particular type of math that you are looking for? Like algebra, trigonometry, calculus?
Anyway, maths is wide, but like the mathematics that I'm interested is the mathematics for children specifically. Of course, we can talk about algebra. If somebody
Okay.
can come talk about algebra, geometry, measurements. Talked about algebra, geometry,
Okay.
measurements, Doc there.
Okay. I have a note of that.
Right, Doc, thank you.
Perfect. Well, everybody, I think that'll do it. Have a wonderful day. Oh, do you have another question, Ismail?
Dr. Lambert, are you getting me?
Yes.
What I was saying, I've been getting these live classes automatically through my emails, but the last 2 days, I've been going through manually through the students' channel. Then I go there manually to look for the for the classes, for the lectures that are going on. So can we go back to the normal routine that I've been getting those messages on my email routine that at this time we're going to have this session?
Yes.
Because today I had to go through the students' channel to go through and log in automatically myself there.
Yeah, I think there was a problem with some of the emails. So yeah, I think you can always go into your student section and see the links to these courses. It's under, as you bring it up, it'll say material and link one, I think, some material link or something.
Yes,
Just click on.
does.
So you'll have to go directly into your student section to get those links.
Okay, I will try to do that, but we have been getting them automatically through our emails. But
right.
it's okay.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
And I think that'll be worked out in a couple of days.
Okay.
There's always IT problems in this world because it's very complicated, the internet, when you're trying to make changes and things like that. So
Yeah, it's understandable.
all right. Well, I think that'll do
thank
it.
you.
Thank you so much, everybody. Have a wonderful day. And
We love you.
we'll see you tomorrow at the same time.
Okay, please.
Bye-bye.